All right, we're live. Just kind of spreading the link around.
Yes, we are.
Wow, man! Somebody who was it that just died? It was Meathead's dad just died.
Yeah, he died. Carl Reiner.
Uncle Carl, rest in peace. All right, you are listening to Transparency and Merit, and we thank you for being here. My name's JP or Joe. And I'm here with Brian. And I guess it could be a polarizing topic: love, hate, and everything in between. I don't know if we'll get to everything, but certainly love and hate.
Yep.
I don't know what's burning inside of you for love and hate today.
Nothing, man. I'm just trying to put this on Minds, and it's like, ooh, it's really hard.
Yeah, there should be an auto thing for Minds. I gotta figure that out. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, but it's really difficult. Yeah,
might have to upgrade.
Yeah, you're right. You gotta put some. I guess it's Bitcoin or whatever, but
yeah.
It's not the easiest thing to maneuver there, Joe. So it's like,
did you get it or not yet?
No.
I'm gonna post it here now in Minds. Yeah, it's there.
Oh, it's there?
Oh, yeah. I just posted it. It's up now.
Great.
Under Transparency and Merit.
Absolutely.
The most amazing show on YouTube.
I hope so. I hope so.
Oh, what you got is two grown-ups trying to apply their adult minds to everything that we address on the show. Sometimes we sound silly, and sometimes we sound profound. Sometimes we sound profane. Maybe that should be our tagline.
And sometimes we just sound as we sound.
That's right. That's right.
You know?
You did a couple short videos recently. What were you talking about, I think it was about working hard and hardly
Working
working.
hard and how to deal with people who hate you. And what is real love and what is hate, like how to how to differ, sometimes a person just doesn't like you but doesn't necessarily hate you, and sometimes a person kind of just will lust after you but not necessarily love you, or it's not the love that you want or the love that you think it is. If someone wants to possess you, like I think a lot of parents, they love the idea of their children, but they don't necessarily love their children. They want to mold, and a lot of times they want to mold them to what they want. It's kind of a difficult thing, with parents and with significant others, because a lot of times when you fall in love, because when you fall in love with someone, sometimes after you fall in love with them, you begin to hate them. I wonder what's a stronger emotion, though, love or hate? I think that hate, it's not nice, but I think hate is a stronger emotion than love. What do you think, Joe?
Man, I don't know. Both are interesting and both kind of come quickly. And if you're not experienced, it can kind of overwhelm. It can also dictate, and it can help make very bad decisions at times. And they say to never make important choices or decisions when you're in love, when you're newly in love, or if you're raging in hatred. So it's probably a good point of reference if you feel overcome by one of these emotions, to really consider what you're getting yourself into. And I've known a lot of people who've wound up married after a couple weeks of knowing somebody, or somebody who on the flip side gets divorced during a very angry dispute, or has gotten into fights. And I've ran a lot of court appointed anger management courses and classes, I should say. And man, you'd be amazed at what some people do when they're angry. And all it would have taken was just a little consideration of the consequences, and most of these court appointed situations would have been avoided. But people don't. I don't know. It's something that their emotions everybody has for the most part, and learning to cope with them in the worst and best case scenarios are important.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe. I've been feeling a very intense amount of hatred for the left and for the establishment recently. I feel to a degree like if I had a daughter, and I guess I would consider maybe the establishment as my daughter, and it's picking the biggest village idiot to ever date. And I'm like, you can do better than that. Why are you giving into this abusive nonsense? And it's almost like, like like, weren't you raised, like, weren't you raised better than that with common sense? And it feels like, I feel like that's not happening at this moment. It's like common sense seems to have been lost in my country. And not only in my country, but throughout the West, people are just falling for these ideologies and these simple minded slogans. And, the types of censorship and the types of unquestioned authority that certain groups in this country have gotten, it does anger me, because I never in my wildest dreams would have thought the establishment would bend the knee like this, but it has. And it makes me very frightened and also very angry for the future. I have a very pessimistic view of the future of our nation at this moment. I feel a lot of freedoms are being taken away in the name of hate speech, which is just really a way to it's just a form of censoring things that I don't like to hear. And it's just like, yeah, I'm just, I don't have any words, but like I said, I don't know, it's kind of like being a child under an authoritarian parent to a degree as well. You want to rebel, but really you can't, because they have all the authority over you and they can punish you. They can be unfair to you. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And it's like, it
Well, I
is.
was telling you about a conversation I had today with somebody I've known my entire life, basically. And it pissed me off because I know what he was saying was coming from, and he's a corporate guy all the way. He's a general manager for a huge company, Fortune 500 company. He's the real deal in the business world. And what I've noticed is a lot of his views are absolutely a product of his career and what he's built up for himself in his life, which you can't remedy. You can't, and you shouldn't be somebody's mission to try to change somebody's mind or point these things out. It's just, to me, it's such a sign of what we're dealing with here: division and just, there's no two people who basically have the same view of what the hell's going on. And but that conversation really tweaked me out a little bit. It was really kind of a setback, because I had been saying for a while that I felt a very positive transformation that's possible here. There could be a very good outcome from all of this, but what I see is this kind of corporate, I don't know what you want to call it, a corporate veil, a corporate ideology that is unpenetrable when you're trying to talk about, just trying to, if you want to pick apart what's going on, you just, and if you're trying to break off of what is the most mainstream of the narrative, suddenly you start hearing conspiracy theory this, or or you're part of the problem that, and it infuriated me. And it's somebody I've known my whole goddamn life. So I backed off and, said, hey, man, we all see the same things. We're all looking at the same thing. So I wasn't about to try to, put create, just stick a knife in the conversation or any of that. But it just basically put me back 10 steps to try to reconsider, just what am I looking at here, and what is my point with whatever it is I'm going. And unfortunately we're still figuring out what's going on. I guess we're still stuck with people walking around talking about what they read in the newspaper or saw on TV on the news.
I had someone on Facebook. This person posted something, and then
is somebody in your life, or just somebody on Facebook?
Somebody I know in real life. And I posted something. I don't know if it was to the contrary. It was to the contrary. I didn't think it was that controversial. But they said, if you post something like this again, I'm going to block you. And then she said, but I do love you. And I think to myself, how can you love somebody and not respect at least to hear their ideas? And that's my thing with the left. The left doesn't love me. The left actually hates. It either wants to change me or destroy me. But it doesn't love me.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And yeah, it's interesting you say that, because this is somebody too that I've shared a lot of good and bad times with, and the whole bit, man, just like any family member. And for him to say, what you're saying sounds just like Trump, or, oh, so you're talking about conspiracy theories, and I had to leave it on the table right where it was. Leave it there for a minute, because that's it just shows me that not only have things are things not really changing the way I thought they were changing, but maybe there's this corporate tide that's gonna wash over us. And when I think about the economy and all of the debt that's being eaten up by the Federal Reserve, and how much control that they're obtaining every minute of the day, every day that goes by, people aren't thinking with their heads screwed on right, that just because they have a good career and a good job, and and hey, I have a good job and I have my career's going fine, but it doesn't dictate the way I think. But at the core of it, I know that this guy has other views that he would put behind, and he'd rather live for that kind of world that he's built. And I get it, but yeah, it sure does bring in the whole idea of love and hate real quick.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you something. Wait, I gotta turn off my Discord real quick, but I gotta, for me, I think there's a brainwash. There are the brainwashed masses, and they believe it's a it's kind of a religion to them, and they believe they're so right that the ends justify the means. And when you when I'm dealing with a cult member, it's very difficult, and I feel like the establishment is under like a cult like leadership of social justice, BLM, and the rest. And it's really hard for me to people who are educated and have really a high functioning thought process could fall for something like some of these leftist organizations that are myopic and have a lot of individuals with very questionable backgrounds, that they could actually fall for this kind of thing is kind of baffling to me. And the fact that they want to sense, I can't, and I don't know if people are just realizing here, they're purging YouTube, they're censoring all forms of free speech, and corporate America is right behind them doing that. And that's not love. These people don't have any love for you. They don't have it's not any love for our country to censor those who disagree with you.
No, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. I felt immediately shut down, censored, because the view was only different. It wasn't what we are being told every minute of the day through these organizations, don't get me started on Black Lives Matter and all these other distractions from my life. But I felt immediately censored. Immediately. The discussion was off the table.
I mean, honestly, and I felt that too. And now they're doing it on YouTube, and they've really began to purge on Google and YouTube. And it's like, I guess, if you're talking about corporations that love the individual and love the person, I mean, Google, when it first came out, you could look up anything under the sun and it would show you, all the evidence and this and that. And that's not happening anymore. There is no place to just search for things and have them naturally come up. And the same thing with YouTube. You could look up anything and have all forms of sources at your fingertips. And it's like this corporate kind of censorship is really destroying the individual mind. We all have to think alike. We all have to walk in lockstep. And you know what? Even the stuff I disagreed with, the UFO stuff or the conspiracy stuff that I may not have agreed with, I could at least, go there. And, Google and YouTube, they respected the mind, even if, and then all of a sudden this hate speech or it's a conspiracy theory. When did our freedoms, when did these people, because I thought these people, I've been into Google's office before. They were about love and freedom. When did that end? When did the freedom to discuss and a range of topics? Well, your speech is hateful or it's conspiratorial. It's like, are we all a bunch of dummies? Are we all a bunch of children? It's like we're all a bunch of children. You can't hear this because if you hear this, you may react a certain way and become crazy. And it's like,
from my perspective, that changed when they realized they can not only could they get all of our data and information, but Google, with the information that not only could they get it, but we wanted to give it to them. We wanted every new technological advancement they gave us. We wanted to give them all that data. But once they got to the to the level of information where they knew you better than you, and can probably predict, and I've read articles to support this, but there's enough information out there for Google to know when you will die, probably the day and from what and what age you'll be, and within 98% accuracy, based on what they know about you and me, and that's that I think once I realized that that's where all of this information is leading to, and it sounds conspiratorial, so now that conversation gets shut down, but it's fact. It's that they have enough information to rule what they want. It's worth so much more. It's worth more than money, in my view. And so it's I think that's when Google really, in my eyes, there was no love. The love is gone, and we walked right into it.
Well, I mean, for whatever reason they are doing what they're doing. For me, it's a different reason. I think look, for me, most evil is done when people think they're doing the right thing and they're doing the best thing. And I think that these companies actually believe that what they're doing is in the general best interest. But you know what? I mean, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And you know what? The world is messy. It's not, everything you think about it. The world isn't easy, and it's like these people, they think the world comes. It's almost like, that the world comes in, and just like you can just stop certain speech, and that's going to be the end of all the badness. And what they're not creating is even worse, because no one's questioning certain groups right now. Because right now, BLM and BLM has been given unquestioned authority. The ADL has unquestioned authority. SPLC, unquestioned authority. Google, perhaps unquestioned authority. YouTube, like these companies have been given. It's almost like these companies have been given unquestioned authority.
Oh yeah.
And now if you try to get maybe a drug that everyone has to take, and you try to question it, sorry, it's like maybe they want to start a war. Hey, but the war is righteous. Don't question it. That drug we're giving you, it's the right thing to do. You're going to have to take it, and don't you dare question it. The people were murdered this way, and don't you dare question it. The police say it so. Or the FBI says it so. Don't question it.
Don't question it. And that's and for the life of me, you can't really bust into that kind of conversation without getting the cold shoulder, the name calling, and everything else that goes along with it.
Not only that, but you can be you're threatened. Sometimes you're threatened with physical violence,
or you get censored and shut down,
or economically blacklisted. I mean,
no doubt.
What kind of country are we living in? Because really and truly, this is it's more of a fierce. It's a fierce society. If we went out and had a protest for free speech, they'd try to shut us down with violence. A free speech rally.
Yep. And while our I think our narratives are vary in certain ways, we're both, all we are trying to do is open the conversation to different ways of thinking. And I've seen it happen to you, and it's happened to me, and it's been in totally different ways.
Yeah. And that's what transparency and merit's all about. It's all about, like, hey, freedom of speech, freedom to have that dialogue, that talk. Can we talk? Can we have a discussion? I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine. But why do you want to take it away from other people? And and that's my thing with love and hate. I mean, are you doing it out of love? Or do you really hate me? Because these people don't love America. I don't think these people love America, because America, the first part of the Constitution is the First Amendment. When you're censoring people, are you loving them or do you hate them? Regardless of whether they have the right to do it because they're a private company, and there's all these questions, Section 230, the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which had codes in it, the public accommodations part of it, and equal protection under the law. Do these people love you? Do they love America? Do they love the West? Which, freedom of speech is a Western, I believe it's a Western ideal. Do they love that? Or do they hate it? Doesn't seem like love to me. It seems like hate. Whether it be a company or a person, when they try to censor you, do they really love you?
So what's in between? If there's love and there's hate, which are the extremes, what's in between?
I guess liking and disliking. Because there's, people you don't like, you just don't want to be around. Hate, I think hate oftentimes involves, like, you really try to avoid that person. If you don't like him, you not as much. And then hate also, like revenge.
How do you view hate? What is hate to you?
When I hate someone, unfortunately,
well, let's step back a second here, and let's not even talk about it in terms of applying it to somebody, because there are situations that cause anger in our day, and it could be done in ways that you don't like. So let's step back, and what are some things that make you hateful? Whether it's a thing or a person, and you can talk about a person. I'm just curious. I'm just opening it up.
Being wronged. Anytime I'm wrong.
Being wrong.
Being wronged will make me hate a person or a thing. When I see something as being wrong, like wrong, I hate it, and I hate that person or that company that is doing that. And there are people that I've had hate for, like, some of these personalities on TV and YouTube that are in favor of censorship. Just, I've really grown to really despise and really, really hate them. They're so arrogant. They think they're so right. And it's just like, and they're so authoritarian. I really despise them as human beings. And I think they're sneaky. I think they're gaslighters. And they're just so, in my opinion, so dishonorable that I truly and honestly despise them.
So is it being wrong, or is it somebody's impression that you are wrong?
Well, for me, I think they are wrong, and I think they have power and authority.
So but what I'm saying is, if you are truly wrong about something, and we're all wrong about something or another all the time, we're right about a lot, and hopefully we're not wrong. But are you saying when you're made to feel that you are wrong, or when you are just literally wrong? Maybe I'm confused about what you said.
Well, the words are confusing to me, but my biggest hatred comes when someone is wrong and they have the authority and power to enforce that wrong.
Okay, that's a little different from what you said. So
Okay,
but that makes more sense to me, because we're all wrong, and you can't walk around hating everything because you were wrong. But what you're saying is, when someone calls you out to be wrong but has the power to make changes based on that. Wow, that's
yeah,
that's high level thinking right there.
yeah. Well, and I see a lot of these social media companies, but not only the social media companies, but the corporations and the heads of corporations and the heads of some of these organizations that are doing, I mean, like, that are doing this. But I mean, I know that they're influenced by certain civil rights groups, but they should be able to me, it's like, and I guess they think they're doing right, but they should be able to see, like, they should be able to see what they're doing is absolutely wrong and immoral. It's like, and no one is standing up for the First Amendment. It's like, it's unbelievable to me.
Nobody. At least we're not being shown that. We're absolutely not seeing it anywhere. I'm sure it's happening, and I know that there are good people out there who are fighting for the same things that that deal with freedom of speech and censorship. But guess what? Those thoughts are being censored, in my view, and we don't always get the good stories in the news. That's what I'm saying is makes it very difficult to accept news stories at all. There's an inherent bias to it if they're only showing you the ills, or the proportion of ills to positive is off the charts, 80-20 or worse.
And the thing of it is, the people for freedom I feel like, man, they're losing. And that's a difficult, like.
But the fat lady has not sung yet. It's right. I mean, it's not over. It's not. We're not in shackles. We still have the ability to think freely. Although the way we express it might be a little bit altered.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and they're, because of the anti-freedom of speech, I feel like, I feel an immense hatred for, like, just some of these newscasters who are just so pompous, and it's like, and the fact that we cannot, that people cannot chastise them anymore, and they can't be called out anymore like they used to. And it's just, and it's almost like, do you see how bad you are? Do you see how foolish you sound? And before, these people, YouTube used to be a place where people could call out some of these pompous newscasters like Don Lemon and the rest. And they completely censored that. And it's like, why? Let it all flow.
Yeah.
Try to type in CNN as fake news. They destroyed the what do they call it? The algorithm. They tampered with it. It's human tampering. Something that was perfect. But they wanted to control the election, and they wanted to control, they want to control what people think and people do.
Yeah.
And that's not love. These companies don't love you. In fact, they hate you.
I think everyone's leaving town. They're all getting the heck out of here. There's nobody around.
Yeah. I mean, getting out of America?
Well, I just mean for the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, who knows? This is so unusual, this 4th of July. It's like people aren't celebrating anymore. I mean, people aren't having big picnics and stuff with their family in large gatherings because we're certainly afraid of this pandemic, and just a lot of stuff out there, Joe, that we can go on for days, about like why this is happening. Unfortunately, to a degree, we're forbidden to talk about. We're forbidden to criticize and talk. I mean, shoot, we've already talked enough where this thing's probably going to get demonetized. And it's like, for what? Why? I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Why was Stefan Molyneux, why was he censored and Tariq Nasheed is still on?
What happened with Stefan Molyneux?
He got taken off of YouTube. But
no, but why?
They said hate speech. But you'll see that Tariq Nasheed, he's on there. And he claims white conspiracy and how bad, how bad all these, he's always complaining about YouTube and all these other conspiracy theories. He's not half the, intellect that Stefan Molyneux is, but he gets taken off. Unbelievable.
I kind of want to see this for a quick minute here. I don't know if it's any good. I'm just picking one video about Stefan. I just haven't heard a thing about this.
Hello all, it's James Johnson, aka the Sulphur Blade, and I'm here in a game known as Arcade Unchained. But I'm not. Reddit's jumped in on this. He's more of a philosopher.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
I wouldn't call him as being highly political. He's actually kind of highly, I don't know. He's more of a philosopher than a politician. He, talks about stuff from a very abstract viewpoint. If his channel can be pulled down, what's next? Ben Shapiro? The Rubin Report? The Quartering? This is a bad precedent. This is a very, 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 very bad precedent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's gonna get into the why it happened, but yeah, that's kind of the deal.
White supremacy. It's white supremacy. That's the reason.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they. White supremacy. That's the reason they give. But it's like.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but look. That's the excuse they give for the most kinds of anti-freedom.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's like, define it. What do you mean by that? And it's really a way of people of silencing critics and things that they don't like. And to me, he was one of the more intellectual persons. And you've had people that YouTube channels that you've liked.
Plenty. But absolutely, and they're just at the end of the day, all they were doing was expressing their views, and people were enjoying it enough to subscribe, and I'm talking about a couple shows that I really enjoy, and and thousands, they were getting thousands of subs, and suddenly a channel got pulled. So they redid it and they did many channels, and they kept getting pulled down. And all he is doing, and all they were doing, was expressing their own views. It weren't.
Well, certainly, let me just say this. This just goes to show you that Google and these big tech companies don't respect freedom of speech or freedom of thought. Because how can you have freedom of thought if you're not hearing everything? Just nonsense. Anyway, Joe, I have to get to bed I want to go to bed kind of early because I'm going to have to start getting up early on Mondays. So
What?
anything.
It's Thursday night.
I know, but I want to start my sleep patterns now.
Do it. All right. Go ahead and subscribe. And we have a website, Transparency and Merit. Check it out, transparencyandmerit.com. And you know what? Brian and I go on other shows. Check out Mad Shangy's show, Mad Shangy. But I'll post some links. And, the best we could do is go visit other shows, other people, and spread ideas. Not even,
Absolutely.
we're not crusading for any movement or the other. We're just trying to share information at the end of the day.
If you got a difference of opinion, we welcome it.
All right.
Come on.
Check us out anytime. Go to
Absolutely.
go subscribe now.